Hello, and welcome to I Have Questions. I'm Alex.
I'm Sam.
And this week, did we come up with a title? Neighborhood Invasion? No.
Yeah, Boys and Monsters.
Boys and Monsters. Okay, Boys and Monsters for this week. We were
Freaks and Geeks.
That's an actual thing.
Boys and Monsters.
Several things, in fact.
Yay!
So first, Little Monsters, 1989, and
then we're gonna do Lost Boys.
19.
The power of editing.
I'm not gonna put it in. I'll just fucking let it come up when we actually do that one. All right.
The Age of the Coreys.
Yeah, I forgot how much fucking.
He was on a lot of movies.
Yeah, him and the Savages as well.
Oh yeah, The Age of the Savages too. All right, so yeah, on that note, let's talk about Little Monsters, starring Fred Savage and Howie Mandel.
Oh God, I liked Howie Mandel in Bobby's World, just an animated series.
Oh yeah,
but this
movie was difficult to make it through. It was so bad. Howie Mandel's character is annoying to the point of just like, if I could just kill you, then all the problems would go away. It was just like, why? It was so bad. Like the acting, he was on crack. Basically,
the tone is also it has a tone problem. It's like it's all over the place. So I guess let's just jump into it. As we do, people are moving into a new place.
Of course, because this is late 80s, early 90s, and all the kids' movies were moving into a new town, and I don't fit in here because I don't have any friends.
So I guess this is the nod to the adults, why the kids are acting up, and why it doesn't seem out of the ordinary when weirder shit is actually happening, is because they moved, and so they're just acting up.
Yeah, well, because they make it like, oh, the kids are just acting up, but the dad alludes to Fred Savage's character, Brian, being kind of a prankster anyway, because they always immediately blame him. Like whenever something's happened, there's two kids in this house. They're both the Savages. Ben Savage, who is the main character of Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
So there's two boys in the house, but whenever something's happening, they immediately blame Brian. Like, immediately go. And Daniel Stern plays the dad, who is terrifying as a thought. Like, he's really scared. Like, he goes from 0 to 100 when he's ready to punish. And it's like...
I can't view him as anything other than Marv, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, who can, really?
That's fair. But, goddamn, yeah, he's just like... Yeah. He has a temper problem. It's like... The parents are actually really... Mom's a little bit understanding, but they're very quick to kind of throw him under the bus.
Well, So the parents are getting ready for a divorce. I mean, they do say
literally.
Yeah, they are getting ready for a divorce because they say they're getting separated.
Separation.
But the whole thing is the kids wake up in the middle of the night, and every time they wake up, the parents are arguing. And from the snippets that you hear, she's saying like some harsh stuff. I mean, they're both saying harsh stuff about each other because he's like, I
want to wake up at something to drive 2 hours to a job I hate?
Yeah, he's like, you're acting like, he's like, I'm just a man, you're acting like I'm a monster. And she's like, well, what's the difference or something like that. And he's like, oh, I'm a monster now. And she's like, well, sometimes. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. So, Brian gets up in the middle of the night and makes a peanut butter and onion sandwich.
Just throw the kid out.
Yeah, honestly, it's so gross. So
you've got Eric.
It's never touched again. Yeah, you've got Eric, the nicer child, and he looks just like. I mean, they look exactly alike when they're kids. So
yeah.
So like, I guess what is it? The ice cream ends up in the cupboard.
Like, in the cupboard, and
it melts and it falls and it gets all over the dad's suit, and then the bike ends up out in front of the garage, and the dad immediately blames Brian, but it's his bike that's ruined, because even Brian's like, you think I did this on purpose? You think I wanted my bike to be ruined? And he's like, well, somebody had to put it there, and it's not like you have two kids.
Yeah. And so Brian ends up confronting...
Grounded.
Yeah, grounded. Constantly. But he confronts his little brother on the ride to school that day. It's like, hey, you put my bike in front of the thing. Why the heck would I have done it? It must have been the monster.
Yeah, because the Eric woke up in the middle of the night because he's like, there's a monster. And we get a weird moment of the dad, like, acting like there is a monster under the bed, but then not. And it was weird. And the mom's just like, really? Like, really?
He's already having problems.
Like, this kid, he's like... And then they say something...
A nightlight, right?
Like, he wants a flashlight. Because I guess, you can't have nightlights. And they're like, I thought we talked about... And it's like, what? Like, just give him a flashlight. He's a little kid. Like, kids are afraid of the dark. Yeah. That's just something that happens. Yeah. Like, imaginations run wild when you can't see things. Yeah. But there's also moments where the dad is awkwardly affectionate. And like, oh, because, we were both kind of cringing during that moment.
Yeah, it's like, come on, buddy. Come on. Like,
he's like slapping his leg and like tickling him. And like, Brian's clearly like in a bit like, you just grounded me this morning and my bike is broken. And I also got in a fight today with the biggest bully in school. Yeah. And it's just awkward. Also because it's Marv. It's just so awkward and weird.
Yeah. Maybe it's a certain level of familial intimacy I'm not accustomed to in saying it.
Well, I'm accustomed to familial intimacy. It's just it seems so strange because it's like Brian's in a bad mood. Like some shitty stuff just happened to him. You just grounded him this morning, and he's like in his underwear, and you're like slapping his leg and tickling him, and it just seems out of place because of the character, like how the dad's been portraying himself as like. Very short-tempered. Yeah. So you don't think he would be a very affectionate dad. Yeah. So I think that's...
Or that's just how he doles out discipline, I guess? I don't know. So Brian opts to swap rooms with Eric just to placate him. Because he double dares him or something.
Yeah, well, because he says, I'll pay you $5 if you can spend the night in my room. Because of the monster or whatever. And his friend comes over that night. Like, because I guess Eric didn't have a problem making a friend because Eric is a normal child and Brian's an asshole.
Yeah, he really is.
Like, Brian is an asshole. It's not, like, first of all, the peanut butter and onion sandwich should have been the first thing. But not only that, but, like, when he blames Eric of putting his bike in front of the garage, he throws the boy's lunch out of the window. Yeah. He throws his brother's lunch out of the window so his brother won't have lunch. So it's like, okay, you are an asshole. And he does like the cool, like, he's like, I'm cool like Charlie. He tries to talk like Charlie Sheen, which, we all know about Charlie Sheen anyway.
Yeah, we do.
But to make himself seem cool, but he's, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really
But we get a small, like, pseudo-romance between him and random girl at the school who's the brain.
Yeah, Kirsten.
Okay.
She's doing a science project right now, and it's like something to do with, like, artificial sunlight with a cactus or with some kind of like desert plant. And it looks pretty interesting, but he's clearly like trying to hit on the girl, but he's like 12.
Yeah.
So it's really weird because it's like you're trying to put the moves on and I guess they're trying to be like it's junior high, but
it's not junior.
Well, no, they have lockers.
Yeah.
So it is junior high.
Oh, okay.
It is junior high because they have lockers. And I guess it's kind of one of those like the junior high is right next to the elementary school because he takes the bus with the elementary schools too. Yeah, he has they do I'll spend the night there, and he gets spooked by the monster and ends up sleeping in the
couch
on the couch. And then the next day he's like double or nothing. So he chooses to track the monster
so we've established him as a tinkerer because he, suddenly he could do all these.
He
things.
Hasn't been established as a tinkerer at all. He just becomes a tinkerer for that one montage.
Disassembles his bike, and somehow Rube Goldberg's a machine into more kids than Rube Goldberg machines.
Yeah, well, I mean, 80s and 90s. They
like that. Yeah. I mean, I was into that shit as a kid, but because I liked Legos a lot, and I had erector sets too.
I mean, I had erector sets, but I could never I was never able to disassemble my bike and turn it into a trap.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Like, it's like, I use like connects and erector sets too, but I was never able to do any of this stuff because those things came with instructions that were very strict.
Yeah. And also, I'm impressed he was able to pull out the wheel hub bearing for the pedals, or the pedal hub.
As an adult, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, and without a mallet.
Yeah.
That shit's rough. Yeah. Anyway, he manages to make a trap for the monster. on there.
Ends up being Howie Mandel. Well, he traps him, and then they end up tussling on the floor. The dad like bursts in because he hears like all this noise, and like there's I guess he left like Dorito chips and just like trails for the monster to follow. And it's just clothes. He looks like he's just fighting with clothes, and the dad walks in and is like, "What the fuck is going on?" But then closes the door more. And Brian is freaking out. And then Maurice just like pops up on the bed and is like, "See ya." And like leaves. No, I think he can't get back under.
Yeah. Because he
can't get back under, so he's like he grows horns throughout the movie, because apparently he didn't have horns in the beginning of the movie. So he grows horns, and then he's like begging Brian to like let him back under the bed because of the light. Because he's like, the light's like freaking him out. He's like flashing a flashlight and like holding the doors. I think the door's open or something. I don't remember what happened. But then Brian feels bad for him and lets him under the bed. And he's like, "Oh, thanks, bro." And then just leaves. And then he's like, "Okay, well, I'll wait for him again to the next night."
Yeah. Then he moves him to the attic.
Yeah.
And that's when he actually traps him.
Yeah, and that's when he actually traps him with all the like Christmas lights and everything. And he's like, "Oh, you trapped me twice, so I guess we can be friends." So he pulls him down to Monsterland or whatever. Which doesn't... I have so many questions about that. That doesn't make any fucking sense. The Monsterland. At all. Because he hypes it up. He's like, "This is the place where all the kids want to go. Everybody wants to be here." We get down there, and it looks like...
It's a shanty town.
Like, yeah.
Made out of construction pallets.
It looks like dystopian, like this is the city that lives under the metropolis kind of thing.
So it's surprising because it had a budget of $7 million, which is not big by any means, I guess, even for the time.
There are a lot of reused characters, including all the savages are in this movie.
Yeah.
All the savage children are in this movie as characters.
And, but yeah, it's basically 4-foot, 2-foot pallets just constructed together. And and if you're buying those in bulk, they're cheap.
Yeah. And, I mean, it looks like somebody went to Home Depot and got the set.
Yeah. No, they
didn't even paint it.
They probably ordered from the fucking like distributor.
Yeah, from the warehouse. And I guess the only cool kid part of it is like the food part, and they have like an arcade.
Yeah.
That's really it. The rest of it's just like ladders and fence posts, and it doesn't look fun at all.
It doesn't seem like a place where people live.
Yeah.
It's like, so you're not creating
monsters. And even the monsters, most of them don't have any makeup. It's just wigs and clothing.
And bad. Shitty things just stapled onto them, essentially. Yeah. Like, is this like, we covered this person in glitter, we covered this person in stickers, we covered this person in shitty paint.
Yeah, or just like, they're wearing a lot of like clothes that are like cut up and like hanging off them, and it's very strange. And we gave them extra arms, so we made their bodies look like boxes because there's 2 people in there.
Yeah.
It's really
it's lazy, and it's also just like you couldn't come up with like consistency in design because you didn't have enough of a budget to do it. So I don't get a sense of this world, and we're supposed to find this appealing.
It's supposed to be appealing for kids, but it's like you got to be a certain kind of kid to be into that.
Yeah.
Like a kid who's like into like, I'm into like old houses and like old tree houses and
body horror, apparently.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Because there are some monsters later on that we see that have like their inside of their face can come out.
Yeah, well, the monsters, here's the thing. In the beginning of the movie, the monsters look fun, but as the movie progresses, they look gross.
Yeah. Because
then it's like, we forgot this movie actually needs to have real bad guys that aren't the main characters. Yeah. It's like people who are worse than the main characters who are also dicks. So Maurice and Brian are dicks because they're like, we're the monsters who are just like, we're the monsters that get kids in trouble. So he takes like Brian on this little trip to basically get a bunch of kids in trouble by doing horrible things.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, it's not stuff like, I hid the key, I hid the remote or stuff like that. Like they get finger paint all over all over the walls, footprints, like muddy footprints all over the carpet, peanut butter on the phones. It's
saran wrap over the toilet.
Yeah, saran wrap over the toilet
and a skate on the stairs.
Yeah.
You trying to kill motherfuckers?
So
Jesus.
we have this kind of montage of them doing like really shitty prank. It's basically like YouTube prank channel kind of.
And then the montage of the kids getting yelled at, and I guess we're supposed to find it funny.
Yeah, I don't find it funny at all. Because those kids, like, they look terrified. And it's also like, they're like, I didn't do this. And, like, I can't prove to you that I didn't because everybody was asleep. Like, I have no alibi except I was asleep in the house.
Do you want to go to military?
Yeah, so it's like, there's one kid who looks like he's about to get a whooping. Like, the fear on his face is real.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to get a whooping tonight. There's the twins who are just baffled. Because they're looking at each other like, did you do it? No, I didn't do it. No, who did it? And then there's one little girl who the mom's like, do you want to go to military school? She's like, what, like 6?
Yeah. It's like, Jesus.
So all of these kids are getting in trouble and it's like really bad. They're like, I don't feel any kind of fun or connection for this. I just feel like Brian and Maurice are huge dicks.
So things plod along and Brian.
Oh yeah, we forgot the best part. The bully.
Yeah, well that's a later.
No, that happens the first time.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it does happen the first time. So he ends up. They make a trip to the bully's house and put cat food in a sandwich, which
cat food in his tuna sandwich. Which I mean, I understand the whole overnight. Like I know kids who their parents made their lunch before the night before because they wouldn't have time in the morning. So that makes sense.
But cat food is
because it's cat food in a tuna sandwich. But I'm going to be honest, cat food, depending on it, is pretty high end, and it's probably just tuna anyway.
Yeah.
It just has a weird extra taste to it because they put extra stuff into cat food.
Yeah.
It could have been the super processedness of it that he tasted. But the worst thing about it is he drinks all the apple juice and then pisses in the bottle. And that is where I was like, oh, okay.
You really are an asshole.
Yeah, you really, there's
you let him get away with it. You didn't take it and like go pour it out.
He was just like, oh, that's sick. And then the next day he's like waiting for him he's sitting there waiting for him to eat and drink his lunch. And he's like laughing because this guy's like puking it up and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, that's pretty fucking gross. That's human. Like, I mean, yeah, monster, but it's still waste. It's gross.
Pukes it onto the principal.
Yeah. And gets in more trouble for it.
So the next time they go out after, it's like, look, I gotta stay in, man. I'm too tired. I gotta sleep. I gotta get back on things.
Yeah, because they stayed up all night.
And so they go out one more time or whatever. And then it turns out it's like end up visiting his
the girl that he likes.
Yeah.
And chewing up her report, which is her science project that she's been working on for pretty much the entire semester.
Yeah.
Which is due the next day.
Yeah.
And like he goes to school and like the teacher pulls it out and he's like, all right, are you ready? He's like, oh, this is a great project. Show me your work. And it's all chewed up and she just starts crying.
Yeah.
Like they don't show her, but like her head is in her hands.
She's like a dog ate it. It's like, you don't even have a dog.
Yeah, he's like, it looks like a dog ate it. And he's like, haha, you don't even have a dog and stuff. So it's just like, here's the thing, like 80s teachers, like 80s movies teachers have no personality. It's just, they're either bad or they're not existent or they're trying to be way too cool. So this teacher, she apparently gets a 0.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is, if I was a teacher, I'd be like, this is clearly sabotage.
Yeah.
Because this girl's been working on this project for months. I've seen her working on it. Like, who did this to her project? So I'd be calling out everybody except the girl. Because she's standing there crying.
Yeah.
Like, she got a 0. And I was like, there were computers at that point. It's a typed project.
It was typed, too.
It was typed.
Yeah, not a typewriter. Oh, okay. So after this, it's like, look, man, I feel awful. I hurt my friend. It's like, and he still gets convinced to come out one more time.
Oh, well, this is why he gets convinced. He's like, I hurt my friend. I don't really want to go. Then that's when the parents drop the divorce on them.
Yeah. And
of course the younger kid is like, is it my fault? Like, I'll be better. I'll be a student. And then and of course Brian's just like, they're getting a divorce. It's got nothing to do with you. Our parents suck. And it's just like, that's basically what he says. Yeah. So, he goes into sulk. And then of course Maurice is like, it'll make you feel better. Come to Monsterland with me. And he like convinces him to come out.
There's a bad part where he's actually trying to console him. Like, and it almost sounds poetic.
Almost. And then he goes back to being a dick.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, it'd be great if we break stuff. We break all the people's stuff and we put it back in their house. So they like play baseball and break a bunch of shit. And that's also where we meet the big bad monster guy, Snick.
And he's not even the big bad.
He's not even Big Bad.
He's a henchman to the Big Bad.
He's a henchman to the Big Bad, but we were never introduced to the Big Bad until
our toothless antagonist.
Yeah, till really the last of the movie.
Snick is our more visible antagonist, but it's like he doesn't. There's no stakes. We get introduced to him earlier.
We're getting introduced to him earlier, and he's like,
he's a dick.
He's just being a dick, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you got to do what I say. You know what happens when you don't do what I say." Everybody, but like nothing really. He like pulls off a monster's head and puts it in a basket. But I was like,
they're monsters.
They're monsters. They can just just get their head and put it back on. It's not that big of a deal. It's just annoying.
They seem unfazed by it. By most of the other body horror that happens.
Yeah.
So he does convince him to come. Maurice convinces Brian to come out again, and this time they're trying to scare a baby.
Yeah, this is where the moment where Brian's like, "Okay, I'm out," because
Maurice is like, too into it too. Yeah, he's not even second guessing it.
Because all the monsters come up to scare this baby. And at first it's just like, oh, they're just like, making faces. And then and this is where the monsters start to get gross.
Yeah.
Because then they start using their gross body horror to scare the movie. And then Brian's like, okay, guys, like, it's a fucking baby. Like
this is it.
This is it. And then I guess that's his like slight turning moment. Like, oh, I guess I don't want to be a monster.
What's nuts for this scene too is instead of going under the bed to leave, he runs out the door, and that's when the light starts dissolving his own arm. So this was our cue that he's starting to turn.
Yeah.
It's also weird that it happened to just coincidentally still being in his city.
Yeah.
So I got lucky.
Yeah. So there's this. We might as well just get to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big monster fight. They end up kidnapping Eric because Brian's like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore because the baby thing was like too much for him. He's like, I don't want to be a part of this more. I'm not coming back down. So they kidnap Eric to make Brian stay down there.
Yeah.
And then Eric grabs the other kids. Brian grabs Eric's friend and the girl that he liked to come down and like help them out and stuff. And they have to come back twice.
Yeah, which is really weird plotting.
It's very strange. And then they bring the bully the second time.
Yeah, it's just like,
I'm not sure why.
How did you convince the bully?
And why would you convince?
And also, how did he end up on your side?
Yeah, it was like I wanted to see that conversation. Also, how did you do it in less than 10 minutes?
Yeah,
because they didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah, because it was like, we'll synchronize our watches with the daylight, so the sunrise. So
and then they said they had like 2 hours.
Yeah, no. Then at one point they said they had 1 hour.
Yeah, they had 1 hour
after their first assault.
The first assault was 1 hour, so they had to go back, get all of because the girl somehow for some reason has a key to the janitor's closet.
We established it like in the first act, but then it's just like, I know it's going to come up again, obviously, because there's nothing but batteries and light bulbs in there. And they jury rig some stuff together, and they come back
to catch the super creepy monster who has a really disgusting face, but his mask is like fucking Addams Family reject. Like he just looks like something out of the Addams Family that was colored very strange.
He's wearing like this.
The Catholic boys like shorts suit.
His name is Boyd. Who cares?
He's called Boy. Frank Whaley.
Okay.
Boy. He doesn't really have a name, actually.
Okay. So it's funny because they basically pulled the same assault because they have like
it's literally the same assault
because they had high powered lights the first time, and they basically do the same thing but with more lights this time.
Yeah, they just come back covered in lights.
And this time it disintegrates Snick and Boy.
Yeah. And it's very stupid.
The plotting is also weird because, like, Boy's talking up, like, but we want you, Brian. Like, I want you. And it's like, but we've given...
It's like, I want you to be my friend. Well, it's also because Brian's been such an asshole, and he has, like, really good ideas of... Because they make it seem like he has a lot of good ideas of how to get other kids in trouble. So they want him to become a monster, because he's like, oh, you'd be great if you stayed here. You'd make a really great monster if you stayed here. And also, he knows all of our secrets. It's like, that's the thing.
That's apparently not an issue.
Secrets. Like, it's not really, you guys are the ones who get people in trouble. But it's like, nobody's going to believe you. Like, nobody's going to believe this kid.
Yeah. We did shut down all the insane asylums in this time because it was the 80s.
Yeah, so.
Because Reagan had already shut them down at this point. So.
Oh, also, we forgot to mention, there's a lot of oddly sexual jokes being made. Yeah, Howie Mandel has a lot of weird sex jokes. Like the one that was the most disgusting, I think, was he was chewing up the girls. He was like, his hand turned into a dog, like a dog's muzzle, like a sock puppet.
Yeah.
And he was chewing up the homework. And he's just like, yeah, he's like, my best friend, man's best friend is his right hand.
But Tish.
And I was like, ugh, gross.
I guess these are supposed to be the jokes for the parents, I suppose.
Yeah, and he says nice ass to, I think he says nice ass to a 12-year-old. I think he says nice ass to him at one point.
No, one of the monsters says nice ass to.
Oh yeah.
To Brian.
The one of the monsters says nice ass to Brian. I was like, gross.
Yeah.
He's 12.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not physically 12, but he's 12 in the movie.
Yeah. It's like boy is also some like innocuous threat because it's like he's supposed to be threatening. He just looks creepy, but he's not really. Yeah.
And
more gay-coded villains because, our villains have to be effeminate.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Our big bad is always some effeminate thing.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, you must stay with me. You must be my friend. And it's just like, this came out of nowhere because there was no allusion to you at all.
Yeah.
That's like this. When I was watching this, I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
We get one scene where
he can't go up the stairs.
And then boy is supposedly in the distance. And that's it.
I guess.
Yeah, but that's really not a threat. It's just somebody in the distance.
It's like we think it's just a monster was hiding. It doesn't seem anything like that.
So they run out of time. They're close, like, we're trapped. Wait. It's still an hour earlier in such and such.
Okay, no, so
it's another racing the sun.
So they're racing the sun across the world. But here's the thing. I don't know how time works under here.
Yeah.
But California's 3 hours behind.
Yeah.
And they end up in California, and they're in Maine, New York-ish. Like they're in the New England area.
Yeah.
So does it take them 3 hours to get all the way over there? Does time work differently down there?
I hope so.
I don't know what's going. Like that's never explained, and it drives me insane because it's like every time they kept going west. But every time they would get to a city, it was like, oh no, the sun just went up, and they keep running, and I'm like, first of all, that bully, he's down for the count. Yeah. If y'all have been running for 3 hours,
yeah. And that's being generous too.
And also Eric was like drunk, kind of because he was like, oh, Brian, like he was like drunk with sleep the whole time. Yeah. I don't know why he was like that. So I was like, were you running for 3 hours? What was happening? I don't understand. Yeah, so
they end up coming up underneath some hobo.
The actual
sleeping on the beach.
The actual coast of California.
Yeah. He was just sleeping on the beach. So they come up. They're like, and they celebrate by going into the ocean. It's like, guys,
No, they get out, and then we get a heartfelt moment because it's not like time's super sensitive right now because the sun is pretty much up at this point. Like it's daylight. It's like 5:30 in the morning.
Oh God, yeah.
The sun is up.
The sad farewell between Howie Mandel and Maurice and Brian that goes on for like 4 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
It's like time's an issue.
Time is a very big issue. You just had to run across the fucking United States.
Yeah.
Now you're taking. It's just like clearly time works different here.
See him tomorrow.
Yeah, and also it's just like you could just pop back up. Like, as long as Brian doesn't go down, like, you can still pop back up.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this has to be heartfelt. It's not like you never have to see him again.
Yeah.
This isn't a thing based on belief.
Yeah.
These things just exist.
Yeah. So we have no threat for, once we're out of the thing, there's no reason that you should have to worry about not seeing each other again.
Yeah.
So it's toothless. And the goodbye is supposed to, I guess, make us feel something, but it really doesn't.
It doesn't, because I don't feel anything for Brian or Maurice at all.
It's like
because they're horrible characters.
Yeah, Maurice is a prick who is an enabler, and Brian's a prick who's
a follower.
Who follows whatever works right.
Yeah. So
yeah. Final thoughts.
I don't like this movie at all.
I remember enjoying it as a child.
I didn't watch it as a kid. I'm glad I didn't.
I'm glad I got to rewatch it again, if only so I could be like, wow, fuck this film, and I'll never watch it again after this. Yeah. It's awful. The plotting's all over the place. It's not Casper awful, but god damn, is it bad.
Really? It's not Casper awful?
Casper wasn't made for anybody.
Was this movie really made for anybody?
Yeah, it was made more for kids.
Was it for kids?
Yeah, because it's simplistic and it's an overture of like how it portrays characters. So Brian will be endearing to kids who feel like they're like, the rogue agent on it. And then they get the kind of feeling of like, oh yeah, made it through. But as an adult now, it's like, no, this is garbage.
Maurice's jokes are not for children. Almost everything he says is in like a double entendre.
The problem with Maurice is because the major problem with Maurice as a character is that they don't know what they want him to be.
Yeah.
Is he the hilarious prankster? Is he the brother? Is he the lewd? What is he? Like, they don't know which one they want to go with, and so he's all of them.
And he's the second main character.
Ergo, he is nothing.
It's a bad movie. Don't watch it.
Yeah. So, after this,
we're going to talk about another bad movie. Don't watch it.
It's at least camp.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's camp.
So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will talk about Lost Boys. So welcome back, and now let's talk about Lost Boys, which is 1987.
Since we literally just watched this 5 minutes before, I'm not going to look at my notes.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really need to. It's like, we got the Coreys and Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is like, I love how everyone's like, starring Kiefer Sutherland. Don't forget the Coreys.
Yeah. I mean, we still care about Kiefer Sutherland, though.
Yeah, that's true, because Kiefer Sutherland became a better actor.
Yeah.
As time went on.
Let's not talk about 24, though.
24? My parents loved 24.
You mean that pandering right-wing fever dream?
They loved it.
That's funny.
They were really into it.
That's really funny considering how liberal your parents are.
I know. My parents are extremely liberal, but they really loved 24.
Oh yeah, Torture Works. Torture Works, by the way. That's what the show
was about.
That's the show told us what parts of it are.
And it came on the same time as Heroes, and my parents had to make a choice.
Heroes was the better choice. But if it's past the first season, then why bother?
Oh, no, because remember, so they watched the first season, they're like, oh, we like this. And they watched 24, and they're like, oh, we like this. And then they got changed to both at the same time. So my parents were like, oh, God, DVR, save us. So that's what happened.
All right.
So this is a vampire movie.
So more kids moving.
Yeah, kids.
Divorce, but this time an actual divorce. Hippie mom goes back to grandpa.
And she talks about how the divorce is the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah. Love grandpa.
Oh man, grandpa's just living his best life, honestly.
Barnard Hughes plays the grandpa. Grandpa's the shit.
He lives in the middle of nowhere.
Growing his own weed.
He has a shelf in the fridge called Old Fart where he keeps his root beers and Oreos. And he does taxidermy.
Yeah.
And he brings this taxidermy over the neighbor, and she bangs him. He bangs the old widow down the road.
Yes.
He has a super, super old car that he never drives because he doesn't like going into town.
Yeah, it's like a 50-something Fairlane. Yeah. Like, it's gorgeous. When they had white walls and two-tone cars, they're gorgeous. It's just beautiful car.
Yeah. So we get to Santa Carla, which is a town that seems unusually populated by punks.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot more punks than a normal city.
I think this is how California, which is funny because, I mean...
This is how people thought California was.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, like it's a party constantly.
Yeah, because none of these people were ever at work. Because I guess because it's the summer, but it's like, but most of these people were adults, so they still have jobs.
Yeah.
Or should have jobs.
So we keep coming back to the boardwalk constantly. Because that's where most of the action seems to take place.
And and also because this is a low-budgeted film, and they really only had a couple places they could...
3
million?
No, 3 sets, pretty much.
Yeah, they have 3 sets. They have the house.
So we have Grandpa's house. We have the boardwalk.
They have the underground.
Yeah, the sunken resort that sunk during the California earthquake. Because
the walkway to Grandpa's house seemed very similar to the walkway to Max's house.
Yeah, I thought it was actually at one point.
Yeah, I thought it was. It was very strange.
Yeah.
So brothers Michael and Sam Emerson move into a new town. The mom's just like, I just, want to be happy here, blah, blah, blah. And of course, like, oh, weird things are happening in the town. What are these weird things? Like, we see missing posters everywhere.
Constantly.
And we're constantly seeing, like, people. We know these guys. I mean, if you've seen the trailers for the movie, you know these guys are vampires. And, like, we know that these people are being killed by vampires. Despite the fact that they never show them on screen being pulled away. So you get that kind of old, like, horror film image of somebody screaming at something that's not there and being pulled away by wires.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing there but wires.
The security guard getting pulled up into the sky by
wires.
And the door ripping him off.
Yeah.
Ripping the door off. The couple that was like schmoozing after stealing comic books.
Yeah, after stealing comic books.
Gets the roof of their car ripped off and then pulled into the sky.
Yeah.
While they're screaming. So they do a pretty decent job, I'd have to say, throughout this film of kind of like alluding to something larger on it. But the problem is, of course, when the trailer gives it away.
Yeah.
Then it's not
like they have like the vampire eyes and stuff in the poster.
Yeah.
So like what?
Yeah.
We know they're vampires.
So what are you building up to? So I guess part of it is so they're coming around, going around town on their mom needs a job. And they're on the boardwalk, just exploring the town to a degree. Oh, I mean, probably grew up there originally. She probably grew up there originally.
Yeah, they never really say if she grew up there or not, but the grandpa seems pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
I think he might have just moved outside of town.
Yeah.
Who knows? She seems like a small town girl, though.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of just go with the flow for it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And she's the daughter of a hippie.
Yeah. She's the daughter of a hippie, and she was... Michael alludes to the fact she's just like, yeah, I was almost named Moonbeam. Thank God they went with Michael. So.
Which is funny because I think that was the name of one of Frank Zappa's kids.
Maybe?
Oh no, Moon Unit. I'm sorry, Moon Unit was the name of one of Frank Zappa's kids. Dweezil, some.
Oh yeah, back in the day, people naming their white people naming their freaking kids.
Frank Zappa is a national treasure.
Moonbeam and Apple and
anyway,
whatever.
So during this exploration of the boardwalk, there's a small concert going on, and of
a man who is jacked, covered in oil,
wearing spandex,
and shaking his hips like this is the last day he has him.
Mullets everywhere.
Yeah. Oh my God, this movie is just full of mullets.
And people with curly hair who were never born with curly hair.
Yeah, people who have teased their hair out and perm. White people perm their hair.
Yeah, because this is the late 80s, early 90s.
It's gross.
Yeah. It's
horrible choices.
The mullet being the worst offender.
Yeah.
But so he catches the eye of somebody in the distance and he starts going to chase her.
Somebody in the distance catches the eye of him.
Yeah.
Of Michael.
Yeah.
And he does that thing that you really only see in movies.
The half look that kind of.
He's just like, no, but he just stares at her. Like, hardcore stares at her. And then he stalks her throughout the boardwalk. And it's really fucking creepy. Like, it's like, God.
Yeah. So
please tell me you've learned.
So Mike is dragging Sam to find. It's like, he's talking to this girl. It's like, don't you have somewhere better to be? It's like, you know what? Yeah, I do. And Sam goes to fuck off at the comic book shop, where he meets the Frog brothers.
Who they're called Edgar and Alan Frog, and I was just like, they could have just called them Poe.
Yeah.
Edgar and Alan Poe.
Yeah.
That would have been better than Edgar and Alan Frog. I was like, oh, what a disappointment.
I feel like there might have been a sign that said Poe somewhere.
Maybe. There should have been.
I feel like, given this movie, I feel like they would have had it that way.
Yeah.
But
so they technically run the comic book shop. There's two people there who I think are mannequins. Because they never move. And they're in a very strange position. One looks like he's sleeping upright, and the other one's laying on him smiling, sleeping, and they're both wearing sunglasses. It's like, these are mannequins. These aren't humans.
Possibly.
This is their front.
They supposedly run the comic book store with their parents, but it's like, if their parents are there, they're not present.
Yeah. Mentally.
They're also like, where are you looking from? So it's like, if you wanted the place with yogurt and weightlifting, you can go here or something. Because he's wearing very like the Art Deco style clothes. He looks like he's from like a bigger city,
like Boardwalk, Miami.
Yeah.
That was the fashion sense of that time. If he would have lived in Miami, he would have fit in perfectly. But it's just because everyone in that town is a punk rocker. He looks out of place.
Yeah. So they call him out on it, and it's just like, well, what would you know about it? It's like, well, I know you shouldn't put these comics together because of like comic nerd.
Yeah, he's like comic nerd, Superman, blah, 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 blah. He has one of 4 printed copies of a comic, and he's like, yeah, I'm just trying to find the other 3. And it's like, okay, well.
Implying that he has some of them.
Whatever.
Yeah. Sure, whatever.
Sure.
Whatever.
But it just gives him enough cred that they don't like immediately
Yeah. And they
discard him.
And they give him a Vampires Attack or Vampires Alive.
Yeah, they give him
Think of it more as a survival manual.
Yeah.
I don't like horror comics. It's like, it may save your life. Think of it more as a guidebook.
Comic books, and I love how they're like, it's a guidebook. It's a comic book about vampires. It's totally a guidebook, and I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. I feel like
you bought into your own bullshit.
And also, it looks like they just took a Doctor Strange cover and put a vampire.
They just painted it over, yeah, because it's like the hands are all fucking jacked up and
like
weird.
the hair and the head and the hair. It's like that's a very akin to how Doctor Strange was drawn.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is very strange.
Could have homaged it essentially,
I guess.
But yeah, so Michael in this ends up running into, finds out her name is Star, and
hits on her, and then because he already knows that, like by this point he knows that Kiefer Sutherland's character David is dating the girl, but he still hits on her because this is the 80s and guys are like, I'm totally the better guy. You should just like totally leave me. And then girls are just like, you know, you're right.
I think it's the second night that like when he comes out again, and then. Because he finds she ends up getting on the bike, leaving with Kiefer Sutherland's character David, and then the next night comes out, tries it again, and this time he's able to hang out with her.
Yeah, because he has a bike too.
And he's about to leave with her, and then
David's like
challenges
keep
him.
up with us. Like he's like I can't race your bikes. He's like, yeah, but he's like, can you keep up with us? That's all you got to do. And then it becomes a weird thing of like
chicken to a bluff.
Yeah, chicken to a bluff, and it's also like, hey, you tried to like. Fuck my girl, so now we're friends. Like he ends up hanging out with them later because they're like, he has the balls to fight him. I don't know what it was.
How far are you willing to go, Michael? And then he brings him down to the resort that had sunk after the Kirk. It's just pretty badass as far as the concept goes. Cool there. It's like
one of the cooler sets.
So it's like you're eating maggots, Michael. It's like it's just rice.
And I was like, oh my god, this is where it comes from.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever seen What We Do in the Shadows, this is where it comes from. Yeah, because the whole like, oh, how's your worms? It's like, what do you mean? This is spaghetti. It's just like, are you sure? It's like that's where it comes from. It comes from like, how are your maggots? And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's just doing the.
And it's sad that I immediately thought of a better movie.
I don't remember what the White Wolf.
What We Do in the Shadows is a better comedy vampire movie than this one.
Oh, this is really comedy.
It's comedy horror.
Really?
Yes, this is comedy horror.
I feel like it takes itself way too seriously.
Well, Corey Feldman doesn't take his voice very seriously. Corey Feldman Corey Feldman has a voice of a boy who thinks he went through puberty but hasn't yet. And it's very deep and like he's trying to be serious. So I can't. It's just like I can't take you seriously. You just want to laugh.
I think for his character it works very well.
It works because they're so serious about this vampire hunting thing, but they've never actually killed a vampire before. Yeah,
they give him the second book. They give Sam a second book later on. It's like, this may help you.
He's like, this may help you. It's like, it's the second book you've given him. It's probably the same amount of information, but it has a different cover.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, how many of these have you made? And did you draw them yourself? If so,
good tracing.
You have a good future ahead of you. This is like, comics are going to get big later.
So Michael's hanging out with them in the lair, and he drinks a mysterious wine that is jewel encrusted.
It's wine
though. Yeah. I mean, it's wine. They didn't make a real effort to discolor it or anything.
Yeah, they didn't make
it
look like blood at all.
Yeah, it fucks them up. And they go out to the train tracks and jump off. All three of David's other lackeys jump off the train tracks. It's like, join us, Michael. It's fun.
Like,
and so they do it, and it's like, how? And they all
like white people's idea of fun is very different.
Yeah, I'd be like, at that point, I'd be like, I'm gone.
Like, we're on the tracks on a bridge. Like, oh, let's jump. They're like, yeah, I'll see you all later. I'll be at the lair.
Yeah.
Chilling.
Train's coming.
Where it's safe.
So yeah, he falls and wakes up in his own bed.
Yeah, he like floats for a little while.
Yeah.
Wakes up implying that he stayed up all night floating. It's very weird.
Yeah. So somehow he ends up in his own bed. Then he goes back.
On.
Yeah. Shit's going weird because he realizes, like, take your bath, Sam. And he tries to attack his brother. And the dog saves him, essentially.
Yeah, the dog bites his hand off.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Oh, also, yeah, there's a wonderful husky in this movie. And it doesn't really understand because these people moved from Phoenix to California. Why do you have a husky?
Yeah.
That poor dog is sweating his ass off. Yeah. His name is Nanook. That's a very cute name.
So, yeah. So,
Nanook pulls his weight more than most of the characters in this movie.
So, trying to figure out what's going on, Michael ends up going back to the lair and confronts Star, and they just fuck.
Yeah, this is very weird. He's like, he comes back, he's like, I need to know what's going on. Like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? And then she kisses him, and then it's a sex montage, and you're like, oh, well, I guess we can... find out later.
Sideline the fact that you're fucking floating!
It's just like, you were just flying.
Mom was trying to have dinner with Max, the video store owner who she got a job from. That she came back home.
Who's the 80s equivalent of, oh, boring old Joe.
Yeah. So because he's stable, he seems to be stable. He owns a business.
Yeah, but he owns a record store populated by all teenagers.
Yeah.
So
that was a video store.
It is a video store. Yeah. It's a video record store.
Okay. So yeah, but her mom,
it's like a Specs.
But their mom came home in a huff because it's just like, you got scared by a comic book.
Well, because here's the thing: he's on the phone screaming.
Yeah.
And then she hears the other son screaming because they only have one line in the house.
Mom,
so he grabs the other phone. He's like, no, don't listen to him. And then they're both screaming.
Yeah.
So of course she just
single mom
freaks out immediately, goes home, as a mom would, any mom would do that.
Poor Max at the time sees him from out the window like, she's leaving. While he's like getting ready for the dinner. While he's at the restaurant.
Yeah.
So yeah. And so yeah, Michael has a sex montage, comes back the next morning. And
so yeah, he goes. So
we're gonna go deliver this wine as an apology to Max.
Yeah, and then the dog attacks her as she's leaving.
Yeah, Sam is of course reading the comic. I'm sorry, Sam is reading the comic. It's just like hounds of hell because the vampires need to protect her during the day. So the dog is supposed to be.
The hounds of hell. But it's like, I mean, or it could just be a dog being like, you're a stranger on our property.
It's not because the dog has met her before.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. The dog has met her before. That's why it's so strange, because the dog is at the job at night.
Yeah.
It's like Sam's already convinced immediately. Like when he sees like that Michael has no reflection, he's like, "You're a vampire!" And like starts freaking out, and immediately is like, "Let's call mom." And then Michael's like, "Don't call mom."
Yeah, it's like,
I love how it's always like, "I'm telling mom," and then Michael's like, "No."
That's some brotherly plotting though, and I do love that.
It's so very cute.
I don't have adorable. I do have technically I have siblings, but I didn't grow up with them the way these two did.
Yeah.
So it's funny to me. It's just like
it is the thing. Like there have been moments where like my brothers, my god brothers, and I are just like, these things, like, these are emergencies. Let's call the police. I'm calling mom. Don't you tell her. it's like no. It's like I almost drowned. In the pool.
You told me. Huh?
I almost drowned in the pool, and then my brother, my god brothers were like, just don't tell mom when she comes home. And I'm like, sure, I won't tell mom at all if you guys let me play your video games. And then they let me play. And as soon as she got home, I was like, Mom, I almost died.
Bravo.
I was like, yes, I've already played the games. It doesn't matter. You're never going to let me play this again anyway.
I've already won. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, you gotta kill your brother. Yeah. Like, they're being like, I can't, he's my brother. It's like, okay, so we'll kill your brother.
This is so serious too. It's great.
It's so ridiculous.
So
they think it's Max.
Yeah,
because of course it's Max.
What was the because of the dog? Yeah, because the dog.
Yeah, they think it's Max because of the hellhound, and also because these things didn't start happening until my mom met this guy. And I was like, well, your mom met this guy on the night that you guys moved to there.
So as another apology, Max, I was like, yeah.
So he comes over for dinner, and then
Sam invites
Edgar and Alan to like do the check, but it's like they give him garlic to eat.
Yeah.
And it establishes later on that like garlic doesn't work anyway. Yeah.
Regular water does nothing.
And then they spilled water on him.
And they check his reflection, which he has.
Yeah, which he has. But they explain it later by saying like since he was invited into the house, then like all that stuff doesn't work, which is a very stupid explanation. Yeah. It was just a reason for them to make it longer because they suspected Max too early and they needed to keep it like a kind of a who gotcha kind of.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, how do you kill a vampire? Straight through the heart, garlic, holy water. It's like, wrong. You kill a vampire whatever the fuck you want because they don't fucking exist.
Yeah, basically.
You do whatever you want.
It's just like, also, you can kill anybody with a stake through the heart. So
yeah, and I'm fine with that.
That works.
Yeah. It's like,
because
of what happens at the dinner, it's like, you know what? Tomorrow night you'll have dinner at my place instead. At this point, the next night, they decide it's like, all right, shit's gone too deep. Michael's getting more nuts. We need to go. I need to get the other Corys, not the Corys. I'm sorry. We need to get the frog. We need to get the frogs.
The Frog Brothers.
And so the Frog.
Mom's very understanding of what's going on. By the way, the whole time.
You think I wouldn't understand?
Well, because Mom thinks they're just doing the whole lashing out because I got divorced thing. So that's why she tries to be, and she's a hippie, so she tries to be super understanding.
It's like, am I not your friend?
But like, yeah, it's no, your kids are turning into vampires. Yeah. But also, it's like Michael just gets a fucking personality transplant too.
Yeah.
But he goes back and forth between a super loving brother and then like being a total like dick teenager. So it's very strange.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is, flying.
Yeah.
At some point, what is it? I think this is before they end up raid. Yeah, this is before the raid. David and his tribe of vampires take Michael out to go feed.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, the initiation's over. It's time for you to become one of us. And they turn ugly.
Yeah.
And into vampires and basically eat and burn these hippies.
It's like 7 people.
Just these punk hippies. Well,
surf Nazis.
Yeah. They're punks. Yeah. Some of them mohawks.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have a mohawk and be a server. It just doesn't work.
Sure.
No, it really doesn't because, the water in your hair gel just doesn't work. One thing's got to go.
Okay.
It's got to be the hair.
Okay. Anyway, kills him. Michael resists it. Comes home late. Mom consoles him. Or it's like, why don't you go? He fucks off. The next night, Sam's gets the frogs together and they go raid the vampire.
Yeah, the next day they go raid the vampire thing. And okay, there's a little boy that's also a part of this plot. It's very unnecessary.
No, yeah, you could actually cut him out entirely.
He could have been cut out. It didn't add any stakes. It didn't. To it.
Like we get a small hint of him because we see him throughout the film, but then we also get like a milk carton that shows him
he's missing,
wearing the same clothes.
But he's been around the boardwalk in the city. Like people, like if he's, but I guess there's so many missing people that people don't really pay attention to those anymore.
I guess. So
I don't know. Amber Alert would have been out on that one at that point.
Yeah, at this point the FBI would have been investigating this many missing people in one town.
A whole pole filled with posters of missing persons, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah. So they steal Grandpa's car.
Yeah, steal Grandpa's car to go to the lair. They kill one vampire, and it's like a super gushing of blood, and it wakes up everyone, and they're like, "Oh shit, we didn't think this all the way through."
And they start trying to drag Sam back in as the frogs are leaving, and they manage to get David exposed to light, and we see that daylight does in fact work on these ones.
Yeah.
At least the full vampires. Michael.
Yeah, because it hasn't been working on Michael or Star or
the kid. Which is nuts which is weird because he goes full vampire later.
He goes full.
Which implies
they all can go full vampire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because Michael can go full vampire too. They're just not like they haven't fed. They're hungry.
Yeah.
They go full vampire when they get hungry, except for Star because she's the girl character and we can't make her ugly because the only reason she's in this is because she's pretty.
Yeah.
And really does nothing.
That's true.
Ever. She doesn't use her vampire strength for anything. She uses her speed once.
Yeah.
She never vamps out.
Yeah.
She's useless as they were doing at
the
the time.
So after this failure, they have to gear up to a fight. So we get a small montage of them preparing, which is getting holy water, crushing garlic.
Yeah, but the way they get holy water is really funny. They go in during a baptism and just kind of put canteens into the basin.
Well, everyone is watching.
Well, everyone is sitting and watching, and they don't say anything, and they just leave. And then the baptism goes, and it goes back to the baptism. I was like, okay, that was a funny moment. I gotta admit. So, and then they fill the tub with garlic and holy water, even after we've established that the garlic doesn't work. Yeah. But okay. Yeah.
Well, in fairness, they didn't. They thought they just lucked out. Didn't luck out, and Max wasn't a vampire.
Yeah, that's true.
So they didn't know that. The garlic, even the vampires tell them later on during the fight scene that it's like garlic that is nothing. Yeah, but it's holy water, Dick.
He's like, it's holy water too. So yeah. Okay, well, at least one works.
Yeah. So they finally wake up because night comes, and then we get our fight scene, which is about 10 minutes of silliness.
Yeah,
it's fun. Honestly, the last 10 minutes is pretty fun for me.
Yeah, but it was such a long wait that I was ready for it to be over by that point. I didn't care anymore. Yeah, and then of course, like they kill David, but Michael's still a vampire. What's going on? And then Max happens to come home, bring the mom home from the dinner, and he's like, oh, you killed my boys. I gotta reveal myself. Yeah.
So yeah, turns out Max is the head vampire. And we get Deus Ex Grandpa.
Deus Ex Grandpa, who comes in, he's been putting stakes out, but I just thought it was because, like, hey, he owns a farm.
Yeah.
But he just, like, rolls in with the Jeep, stabs him with the hooded the car that's been hooded with wooden stakes.
Yeah.
And rams them into.
Gets out of the car, nonchalantly walks into the kitchen, grabs one of his root beers and pops it open. You know the hardest thing about living in Santa Clara or Santa Carla? All the damn vampires.
I was just like, motherfucker, you knew there were vampires the whole time. You didn't say anything.
That's how the film fucking ends.
And that's how the film ends. Because final thoughts. Oh my god, I remember this being better than it was.
Yeah, I liked
the Coreys back then.
Yeah, the plotting is dumb as shit, but I feel like it knows that, and it has fun with it, and I think I enjoy it for that. Will I watch it again if it's on?
God, no.
If it's on again and it's like Halloween or some shit in the party, yeah, we'll throw it in the background.
Yeah, if it's in the background at a party where I'm drinking and having fun with other people and don't actually have to watch the whole thing, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it's not so insufferable that I can't tolerate it even being in the room like Casper.
That's like me with the Basquiat film. I can't handle it. It sucks.
That's art house, man. That's horrible. It's an entirely different fucking genre.
But anyway,
bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like watching the Cremaster cycle.
If you like the Coreys, like rest in peace, Corey Haim. If you like the Coreys, watch it. And it's Kiefer Sutherland's early like ridiculousness work when he was just like into his fun bully role. This is the second movie this month where Kiefer Sutherland is a psycho. Yeah, so
that's fair.
Yeah,
with the mullet this time.
With the mullet this time. But
yeah, I still had fun with it to a degree. It's definitely more coherent than fucking Little Monsters was, and I do appreciate.
If we had watched this back to back, I probably would have enjoyed Lost Boys a little bit more, but because it's like the time in between, I actually was able to be like, oh yeah, now I do like good movies. I do like watching good movies, so I was like, oh yeah, I don't like bad movies.
Apparently there's 2 other films that I actually wasn't
this
really
has
aware of.
A sequel and a third movie. There's 2 sequels to it.
I don't know if I'll ever watch them.
Who would?
I mean, has anyone
ever watched
I mean, there's also a From Dusk Till Dawn too, but why would I watch it?
No.
It's like it's not directed by Robert Rodriguez isn't involved in it.
Both sequels are directed by completely different directors.
Yeah. So we gotta cash in on the cult classic.
Oh god, it's horrible.
You never cash in on a
cult
classic.
There are other Corey movies. There are other Corey Feldman movies before he got terrifyingly old.
So we're gonna take a break because we'll take a break at the end of the week again. We're doing Double Bill again still, and we'll come back with
Animated April.
Correct.
Avoiding all Disney and DreamWorks films.
Yes. So
if we can.
So I hope you like Russian art house.
We're gonna put some anime in there.
That seems like a cop-out.
Only 1 week.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
But it'll be dubbed anime.
Gross.
Actually, no, yeah, gross. I can't watch dubbed anime.
There's only like 3
we'll figure something out.
I can only watch like 3 dubbed animes.
The Ghibli films are dubbed.
Yeah, the Ghibli films are one of the few exceptions.
But those are Disney, so.
Yeah, the Ghost in the Shell series dubbed is good, and
we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll be watching stop motion films first.
We can't all do Leica.
We're not. I already told you the movies that we're doing. We're not doing Leica.
We are doing one Leica.
We're doing one Leica, but we're not doing all Leica. Okay. And we're not doing the Leicas that you think we're doing.
Okay. Anyway. Yes. So join us for Animation April. Until then, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever the hell you may be. Take care.
Goodbye. Let's drink.
I am drinking.
I'm gonna drink.